Welcome back to the deep dive. Our fellow learner, imagine waking up, grabbing your phone, and before you even get out of bed, this invisible starting gun just goes off.
Oh yeah, every single morning.
Right. Suddenly you are sprinting on this treadmill that you never actually asked to be on. You're bombarded with notifications reminding you to secure the bag, build a sprawling professional network, acquire real estate, and just completely curate your social media presence.
Right, so everyone knows just exactly how hard you're hustling.
Exactly. It's this relentless, deafening roadmap for how to live. And honestly, it's completely exhausting.
It really is. It creates this culture of just um, relentless accumulation. Like we are conditioned from a very young age to view success as something strictly quantifiable.
Oh,
Something you can literally measure in, square footage or bank balances or follower counts. And then you have to proudly display that to the rest of the world.
but today, we are tossing that entire roadmap out the window. We are diving into a philosophical framework that basically looks at our hyper-anxious modern hustle culture, laughs, and completely flips it on its head.
It really does not pull any punches.
It doesn't. Our sources today center around these excerpts from a 2020 piece titled Zhufeng Chats with Young People. It was translated by Kinyu and edited by Kair. And Zhufeng is this thinker who brings over 60 years of life experience to the table.
Yeah, we are talking about 6 decades of deeply observing the human condition. The spring, summer, autumn, and winter of life, basically.
Right, to offer up this really unconventional and frankly completely anti-modern guide to existence.
It is a radical departure from the norm. Because it forces a complete reevaluation of human priorities. Like, our mission in this deep dive is to explore this alternative philosophy, uncover the underlying mechanics of how it supposedly works, and really help you filter through all that modern noise.
Yeah, to find what might genuinely enrich your life, totally regardless of what the culture dictates. Okay, let's unpack this, because the very first thing Zhuofeng does is redefine the fundamental purpose of what a successful life actually is.
Right, we usually think of success as a destination, preferably one with a very exclusive zip code.
Exactly. But this framework argues that life is entirely about perception. It's about the raw, unfiltered experience of the human world. The whole philosophy posits that the richer your experience, the deeper your perception grows, and ultimately the clearer the truth of the universe becomes.
We really need to pause on how experience is defined here, though, because it clashes so heavily with our modern interpretation of the word.
Oh, massively.
Today, experiencing life is heavily skewed toward this curated positive consumption. We think of backpacking across Europe or tasting a rare vintage wine.
Right, the Instagram version of experiencing life.
Exactly. But Sofen casts a much wider, way more grounded net. True human experience means plunging into frustration, disappointment, massive failure, and sheer despair.
Wow. Yeah.
You have to experience those just as fully as you embrace joy, freedom, and the various forms of love. And the source specifically lists holy love, kinship, friendly love, and sexual love.
So you don't get to just pick the highlight reel.
No, not at all.
You have to endure the literal weather of the world, like the cycles of cause and effect. It's like demanding a summer without ever experiencing a winter. It just doesn't work that way.
It really doesn't.
And this leads to a massive, just blinking warning sign for young people in the text that says, do not pursue vanity, do not get swept up in the trends of the times. And very specifically, do not make it your life's mission to acquire material possessions like real estate, luxury cars, or high-end consumer goods.
The language surrounding that warning is it's entirely uncompromising. The argument is that focusing your vision on material abundance doesn't just waste your time, it actively triggers this process of internal decay.
Internal decay, right.
Yeah, it leads to decadence, corruption, depravity, and eventually what is described as the death of life, all in capital letters. There is a direct causal link drawn between obsessively accumulating external objects and the literal withering of your internal essence.
Man, that brings us right back to that treadmill analogy from the morning routine. Chasing material wealth isn't a normal treadmill.
No, it's not.
Every time you buy the starter home, the belt speeds up. Now you have to sprint just to afford the 4-bedroom house.
And then you need the luxury SUV to park in the driveway of that 4-bedroom house.
Exactly. So the incline goes up, you are sweating, your heart rate is through the roof, and you are utterly exhausted, but you haven't actually moved an inch. You're just running in place until your legs give out.
That perfectly illustrates the trap, honestly. What Quiffing advocates is changing the metric of a good life from what you physically own to what you deeply feel and understand. Internal richness takes complete precedence over external validation. Like, the true wealth of a life is the aggregate of profound internal experiences, not the square footage of a property.
Which naturally opens up this massive void. Because if we aren't spending our 20s, 30s, and 40s grinding for that promotion to buy the fancy car, what on earth are we actually supposed to be doing with our time?
Right. What is the curriculum?
Yeah, what is the actual curriculum of a well-lived life?
So, the alternative to the corporate hustle is a very specific, carefully bound type of education. You are advised to spend your time and energy learning scientific knowledge, mastering basic human behavior and etiquette, and studying the timeless teachings of sages and gods.
Basically, fundamentally figuring out how to enhance the internal value of your life.
Exactly.
And the underlying motivation for this learning is fascinating. Like, you aren't studying science or behavior to monetize it. You aren't trying to become a high-ranking official or build some famous legacy or bring glory to your ancestors. You learn simply to experience the fun and wit of life. It's learning for the pure joy of enriching your own inner world. But I hit a massive roadblock when digging into this next section, and I really need to push back on it.
Oh, really? Let's hear it. Where's the friction?
Well, the entire premise so far is about seeking a rich inner life,
Right.
right? Exploring the absolute depths of the soul.
Right.
But then Shuifeng issues this incredibly strict ban on the exact avenues people usually take to find that depth.
Okay. Yeah.
The text explicitly warns, do not study metaphysics. Do not enter religious groups, political groups, or cultivation groups. It labels them all as problematic.
Oh, absolutely.
It says you should absolutely not try to learn magical powers or spells, and strongly advises against prematurely diving into Buddhism, Taoism, or divine law. Like, wait, if someone is actively seeking soul wealth, why is there a hard ban on exploring religion or the supernatural?
What's fascinating here is the underlying logic of why those specific things are grouped together as dangerous. Because it feels like a contradiction until you look at the mechanics of those banned activities.
Okay, break that down for me.
Let's look at the terms first. Cultivation groups, generally referred to organizations or communities where people practice rigorous, often esoteric regimens.
Like weird breathing techniques or meditation retreats.
Yeah, exactly. With the goal of achieving supernatural longevity, enlightenment, or special abilities. And metaphysics involves obsessing over abstract concepts beyond our physical reality that just can't be empirically proven.
So basically, things that take you out of the messy, physical human experience.
Precisely. If the core philosophy is that life is about authentic, grounded, personal perception of the human world, then joining a rigid religious group or trying to unlock a supernatural spell is essentially looking for a shortcut.
A shortcut.
Yeah. When you join a highly structured political or religious group, you are often handed a prepackaged set of beliefs. You are adopting someone else's perceptions instead of doing the grueling work of experiencing the despair, the failure, and the changing seasons for yourself.
Yeah.
They literally become dogmatic traps.
Oh, man. It's like downloading someone else's save file for a video game instead of playing the levels yourself.
Yes.
You get to the end, but you didn't learn any of the mechanics.
That is a great way to frame it. And regarding the pursuit of magical powers or spells, that's just an attempt to bypass the natural laws of human existence. Like, you cannot cheat the curriculum.
Right. You have to do the work.
You cannot cast a spell to avoid the reality of cause and effect, or to bypass the grief of losing a loved one. Prematurely diving into advanced abstract spiritual concepts like divine law before you even learn basic science or, how to behave decently toward your neighbors, it just leads to delusion. You have to stay grounded in the physical reality first.
Wow, that actually clicks into place perfectly. You can't skip the foundational classes and expect to understand the advanced seminars.
Exactly.
The reading has to be done firsthand. And why does this specific curriculum matter so much? Because the sum of these authentic, grounded experiences directly dictates your ultimate quality of life. And to explain this hierarchy of the soul, Zhuofeng uses this brilliant geological metaphor.
Oh, the gemstone metaphor is arguably the cornerstone of this entire philosophy.
It is. So in the physical world, the inherent value of stones varies wildly. You have diamonds, rubies, sapphires, emeralds, and their value is fundamentally different from just like ordinary pebbles and cobblestones.
Right.
And because of that inherent value, they are treated differently. Precious stones are polished and embedded into crowns. They're protected in the most sacred, elevated places.
While rough stones and cobblestones, they're paved into the street, literally placed under people's feet to be trampled on.
Exactly. And the philosophy applies this directly to human beings. It acknowledges a really harsh reality that not everyone can be a human diamond or emerald. We all have different starting points, different capacities, and different environments.
But the universal mandate is that you must strive with everything you have not to be a pebble.
Yes. And here's where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just a metaphor for how society treats you during your earthly life. This ties directly to the ultimate environment your soul ends up in.
The overarching metaphysical environment.
Right. The idea is that if someone can reach that highest state of observation, they will see a direct correlation. The purer a person's internal quality of life, the more they will live in a free, perfect world.
And conversely,
Conversely, the lower the quality, like the more they act like a pedal, the more they find themselves living in a dilapidated, controlled world. And honestly, my mind immediately went to modern video game matchmaking.
matchmaking algorithms, run with that. How does that connect?
Okay, so in almost every major multiplayer game, there's a hidden system tracking your underlying stats. You know, your behavior, your skill, your cooperation.
Right, your hidden MMR or whatever.
Exactly. If you put in the time to learn the mechanics, take your losses, and play honorably, your internal stats level up. And the game's algorithm naturally sorts you into premium, high-tier lobbies with other highly skilled cooperative players. That lobby is your free, perfect world. But if you cheat, scream at your teammates, or just never bother to learn the controls, your stats tank. The algorithm dumps you into the low-tier lobbies, which are notoriously chaotic, toxic, and incredibly frustrating.
The worst places to be.
You are stuck in a dilapidated, controlled world surrounded by other pebbles. Your internal development entirely dictates the external reality you are sorted into.
That translates the concept flawlessly for a modern audience. I mean, it really highlights how the work you do on your own soul, avoiding the religious shortcuts, facing the brutal frustrations, enriching your perception, that is the actual polishing process.
Yeah, you're leveling up your stats.
You are refining your internal geometry.
Mm.
And the structure of reality naturally sorts you based on the resonance of that exact quality.
So if the ultimate goal is to polish ourselves into these brilliant, self-contained gemstones, that completely changes how we approach other people.
Oh, completely.
Especially today, where we are hyper-connected and constant interaction is the baseline. The advice here about networking and the internet is absolutely brutal.
It takes a sledgehammer to modern social norms. The framework takes a hardline stance against the deliberate maintenance of relationships.
Yeah, it argues that spending your precious time, energy, and wealth trying to artificially maintain ties with people is fundamentally a total waste.
The claim is that lasting relationships are almost impossible to maintain artificially,
Yeah.
because eventually people's paths will diverge. The advice is to let things happen naturally, to follow predestined paths, but never ever to force them. True confidants will organically appear on your journey as you strive forward, not because you spent hours agonizing over a CRM tool to remember their birthday.
But I have to challenge this, because we live in an era where the dominant mantra is your network is your net worth.
Right, LinkedIn culture.
Yes.
Yep.
We are taught to view human beings as a stock portfolio that requires constant management. Like, isn't this view a bit too isolationist? Are we really supposed to just stop trying to keep our friends?
It sounds isolationist until you realize what it's actually critiquing. Your net worth is a deeply transactional way to view human connection.
That's true.
You are treating people as leverage. The distinction being made here is between forced transactional networking and organic resonant connection. Like if we link this back to the gemstone metaphor, the logic is very clear.
Right. If you are a precious gemstone, you do not need to deliberately establish relationships. People will naturally be drawn to you. Your inherent quality attracts them.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are a cobblestone, no matter how many networking events you attend or how many hands you shake, people will eventually abandon you because the underlying value just isn't there.
The effort spent on aggressive networking is essentially a Band-Aid covering up a lack of internal value. If you have to force it, it's fake.
Perfectly said.
And this zero-tolerance policy for fake interactions extends fully to the digital world. The text defines our current internet era by one overwhelming characteristic, which is impetuousness.
Impetuousness meaning acting quickly and without thought or care. It suggests that modern markets, society, religion, and politics are all floating on these highly volatile, impetuous bubbles that are just waiting to burst.
And this leads to my favorite observation in the entire deep dive. Sweffing literally states that 95% of the content on the internet, including social media, is just rubbish. Total garbage.
Just absolute trash.
And the logical conclusion is that if you invest your time scrolling through it, you are actively collecting garbage, and eventually you just become a garbage collector. I mean, it forces us to break the fourth wall for a second. We're creating digital content right now. Are we the 5% or are we part of the 95% garbage?
I mean, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the test of whether something is garbage or not is its shelf life.
Oh, yeah?
Does a piece of media encourage you to reflect, to polish your internal gemstone, to understand a deeper truth? Or is it designed to trigger an impetuous emotional reaction like outrage or FOMO or tribalism?
Right, just quick engagement.
Yeah, and most social media relies on the latter. The advice is to calm down, step entirely away from the impetuous bubbles, and study things that endure.
It's a bitter pill to swallow because it clears the deck of so many modern comforts. If we strip away the fake, forced friendships, if we stop doom scrolling through the 95% of digital garbage, and if we finally get off the exhausting treadmill of chasing real estate and cars, what is actually left?
That is the core question.
Like, what are the bare essentials of a life well lived? This brings us to the three major wealth, laid out in a very strict hierarchy.
The order of these wealths is the ultimate rejection of modern culture. According to the Shufeng, the first and most critical wealth to pursue is soul wealth.
Okay.
The second is spiritual wealth.
Yeah.
And the third, coming in absolute last, is material wealth.
We really need to clarify the difference between soul wealth and spiritual wealth here because they sound identical at first glance.
They do to you.
But based on everything we've unpacked, soul wealth is about the fundamental, permanent evolution of your core being. It's that gemstone quality. It's the deep perception gained from enduring failures, heartbreaks, and joys. It's who you are at the most profound level.
Exactly. Whereas spiritual wealth refers more to your ongoing mental and emotional ecosystem.
Like your daily state of mind.
Right. It's your intellect, your peace of mind, your freedom from daily anxiety, and your capacity for joy. You can think of soul wealth as the deep tectonic plates of your identity and spiritual wealth as the beautiful landscape growing on top of it.
Oh, I love that analogy.
And both are vastly more important than the third category, which is material wealth.
And even when discussing material wealth, the definition is completely overhauled. Like, it doesn't mean a diversified investment portfolio. It states explicitly that having a healthy physical body is equal to having material wealth. Health is your primary material asset.
Which means your main material responsibility is simply the upkeep of your physical vessel.
Yeah.
The guidelines are incredibly grounded. Don't stay up all night, don't smoke, avoid drugs and heavy alcohol. Eat in an orderly manner, and specifically do not overeat just to satisfy a fleeting appetite.
Because the body is the instrument you use to gather those profound life experiences. If the instrument breaks down due to neglect, you literally can't accumulate soul wealth.
Exactly.
So we take care of our bodies, we enrich our minds, we polish our souls. But we don't exist in a vacuum. We have families, we have parents who raised us. And this is where the philosophy delivers what I think is the most liberating, beautifully blunt piece of advice in the entire document.
It really is striking.
It tackles filial piety, the concept of honoring your parents. It says this is your first priority as a human being. But the way you fulfill that priority is entirely redefined.
In many cultures, honoring your parents historically means eventually providing for them financially.
Right.
The expectation is that you will buy them a house or ensure they have superior material wealth in their old age as repayment for the resources they spent raising you. Swifting completely severs that financial obligation.
It's wild. The text says the absolute best way to honor them is simply not to let them worry about you and not to let them overwork themselves on your behalf.
Yep.
You do not need to provide them with superior material wealth. And then it drops this incredible line, because you are a human, not a pig.
It's so blunt.
So blunt. The parents raise you to 18, and then you must walk on your own 2 feet. You can no longer rely on them for survival. So what does this all mean?
This raises an important question about how society measures a good child. The not a pig principle highlights that livestock are kept in pens and fed by others their entire lives.
Right, they just consume.
A human being is designed for self-sufficiency. This completely redefines filial piety as independence, rather than financial reciprocation.
It lifts a massive, crushing weight off the shoulders of younger generations. There is so much modern guilt about not being able to buy your parents a home or retire them early, especially in today's brutal economy.
Oh, absolutely. The pressure is immense.
But this philosophy says, stop. Your only duty is to not be a burden. If you achieve independence, if you walk on your own, you have fulfilled your primary duty.
It's so freeing.
The text even notes that if you are fully independent but cannot afford to support your parents in their old age, you shouldn't harbor excessive guilt. In the eyes of heaven, you will be seen as a reasonable person who can be blessed.
Wow.
And for anyone wanting to dive deeper into the specific strain of wisdom, Hui Feng actually compiled a book called Treasures of Classical Advice, which gathers the essence of various human sages.
It all cycles back to that central theme, stripping away the exhausting excess to find the durable, unshakable truth underneath.
So let's recap this journey. We started by looking at a completely inverted view of success, prioritizing raw, internal, often difficult human experiences over collecting real estate and luxury cars.
And we explored the necessity of avoiding spiritual shortcuts, like rigid dogmas, and treating our physical health as our ultimate material asset.
We dissected the challenging advice to abandon forced networking, trusting instead that if you polish yourself into a high-value gemstone, true confidants will naturally gravitate toward you.
And finally, we found incredible liberation in the not a pig principle, finding honor in total self-sufficiency upon adulthood rather than endless financial guilt toward our parents.
It genuinely forces you to pause and audit your own life. Like, we want to ask you, the learner listening right now, which of those three wealths have you been prioritizing lately? Are you focusing on the deep tectonic plates of your soul, the landscape of your spirit, or are you stuck endlessly chasing that third-tier material wealth?
It is an audit that requires a lot of honesty.
It really does. And we want to leave you with one final lingering thought experiment that builds on what we've discussed today. Xu Feng suggests that 95% of modern information is absolute rubbish and that deliberate networking is a futile waste of precious time.
Right.
So imagine for a second what would happen if everyone on Earth suddenly adopted this exact mindset tomorrow. If we all stopped forcing connections, stopped engaging with the digital noise, and just focused entirely on our own internal polishing.
Would society transcend into a peaceful, perfect world filled with self-sufficient, brilliant gemstones?
Or would the fabric of our highly interdependent, deeply networked civilization completely unravel into billions of isolated individuals?
It's a fascinating tension between individual soul wealth and the collective structure of society.
It really is. Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. But either way, it's worth taking a long, hard look at that treadmill you might be running on and asking yourself if today is the day you finally step off. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep polishing your own stones.